welcome to Firstpost Live, where we bring you the day's top 4 stories from across the world. I'm Daniela Laurel, live from the Firstpost studios. Let's begin with the headlines. Chinese President Xi Jinping marks the Communist Party's 105th founding anniversary. He vows to build a stronger, more modern military while stepping up the party's anti-corruption drive. Turkey is beefing up security for the upcoming NATO summit as President Recep Tayyip Erdogan tries to boost his diplomatic influence. A Russian drone strike triggers a massive fire at a hardware store in Ukraine's Mykolaiv region. Emergency crews rush to the scene as firefighters battle the blaze. Amnesty International accuses Sudan's Rapid Support Forces of committing crimes against humanity in El Fasher. The rights group says the campaign included ethnic cleansing during the fight for the city. And Spain records more than 1,000 heat-related deaths as a severe heat wave swept across the country. Officials say the first 6 months of 2026 were the hottest ever recorded. Iran's nuclear program is once again at the center of global attention amid renewed U.S.-Iran ceasefire tensions. Now, a controversial state TV broadcast has sparked fresh questions. An interview with Iran's top negotiator and parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, was suddenly cut short during its telecast. The incident comes as diplomatic talks, media controversy, and regional security tensions continue to build. The pre-recorded interview was interrupted mid-broadcast on Iranian state television. Parliament officials claim the program was stopped without prior notice or explanation.
This is despite the fact that this discussion was recorded and the least duty of the IRIB officials was to coordinate it with the Parliament's media center if they decided not to broadcast part of the discussion contrary to procedures.
The controversy is not only what was said, but what never made it on air. Those missing sections reportedly included discussions on UN nuclear watchdog inspections, frozen Iranian assets abroad, and a $300 billion reconstruction credit. Parliament media officials say the decision was made without proper coordination. They argue that state broadcaster IRIB should have informed them in advance if any edits were planned. The state broadcaster claims that the interview was cut into 2 parts, and the second section will air on Wednesday night. Inside Iran, pressure is building over the U.S. deal itself. Hardliners continue to criticize the agreement. They argue Iran has gained little from these negotiations. Some conservatives are going further, openly opposing any engagement with Washington. Just hours before the broadcast, Ghalibaf defended Iran's diplomatic approach. He said Tehran is prioritizing talks with the United States while still remaining prepared for conflict if needed.
We are pursuing dialogue, but if the dialogue is not implemented, we are also prepared for war and will respond accordingly.
He also defended uranium enrichment as Iran's legitimate and inalienable right. His comments came ahead of technical talks in Doha over a recently signed memorandum between Tehran and Washington. Now, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance says discussions are still active behind the scenes. He claims Tehran's public statements do not fully reflect what is happening in indirect negotiations.
One of the things I find just fascinating and frustrating about the Iranians is they'll say, no, there aren't peace talks ongoing, but there are technical talks between the United States and Iran about the peace deal. It's a Persian negotiating tactic and a Persian rhetorical device that I don't understand.
Meanwhile, U.S. and Iranian officials are expected to continue lower-level technical talks through mediators. The focus remains on a possible deal aimed at stabilizing the wider West Asia conflict. At the same time, Israel is adding pressure of its own. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has renewed warnings of military action against Iran. He insists Tehran will not be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. His remarks follow similar threats from senior Israeli officials and renewed hardline rhetoric in Tel Aviv.
We entered Iran twice to save ourselves from destruction caused by nuclear weapons. If necessary, we will do it a third time.
Netanyahu also reiterated that Israeli forces will remain in southern Lebanon. He said they will stay until Hezbollah no longer poses a threat.
Lebanon recognizes Israel, Israel recognizes Lebanon, and they say to both Iran and Hezbollah, get out of here. You have nothing to do here. Two sovereign states want to make peace between themselves. Our insistence is that we will not leave southern Lebanon until the threat is eliminated. As long as an armed Hezbollah remains here, threatening us, we will stay.
With diplomatic efforts moving forward and military rhetoric growing louder and Iran's nuclear issue back at the center of diplomacy, the future of this ceasefire remains uncertain, and so does the region's stability. Britain is preparing for a new era of warfare. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has unveiled a massive defense investment plan. The blueprint puts drones, next-generation fighter jets, submarines, and artificial intelligence at the center of Britain's future military strategy. To understand the scale of this plan, let us look at the numbers. The British government plans to spend about $395 billion on defense over the next 4 years. That includes about $20 billion in additional funding compared to last year's plan. By the 2029 to 30 financial year, Britain's annual defense budget is expected to cross $105 billion. A major focus of the plan is the expansion of drones and autonomous systems. The government will invest more than $6.6 billion to develop uncrewed technology for the Army, Navy, and Air Force. It also plans to set up a new Defense Uncrewed Systems Center to speed up their deployment across the armed forces.
It will also make the British people safer by driving a generational transformation of our armed forces, learning the lessons of Ukraine in order to modernise our military, equipped to fight the wars both of today and tomorrow. And we're backing this by putting in more than £5 billion into drones and autonomous weapons. That is the largest ever UK investment in this technology.
The Air Force is also set for a major upgrade. The plan commits about $11.4 billion to the Global Combat Air Program with Japan and Italy. Britain will also buy more F-35 fighter jets and modernize its Eurofighter Typhoon fleet. The Navy and nuclear forces will receive some of the biggest investments. The government will spend more than $26.5 billion on its nuclear deterrent over the next 4 years. The plan also includes 4 Dreadnought-class ballistic missile submarines and up to 12 nuclear-powered attack submarines. The British Army is also set to be transformed. A new program called Asgard will connect drones, armored vehicles, sensors, and artificial intelligence into a single battlefield network. The plan also includes funding for Challenger 3 tanks and Boxer armored vehicles. The aim is to improve the Army's firepower, mobility, and protection.
And we will build an army that is 10 times more lethal, with attack drones flying alongside our Apache helicopters, a new fleet of surveillance drones collecting intelligence and finding targets, and a surge in low-cost one-way attack drones, which have proved so effective in Ukraine. On top of this, we are investing in long-range missiles, armoured vehicles, and counter-drone defence systems.
Announcing the plan, Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the best way to prevent war is to be ready for it. He said a stronger military would deter adversaries from taking aggressive action. The plan comes as Britain warns that global security threats are continuing to grow. The government also wants the plan to boost Britain's defense industry. It estimates the investment could support nearly 60,000 direct and indirect jobs by the end of the decade. British defense company BAE Systems has welcomed this plan, saying it provides greater certainty for the defense sector.
I can announce today that we're creating a new £50 billion defence export facility to support British defence businesses to compete, to create more jobs, pride and opportunity up and down the country. That is the largest expansion of UK export finance support in its 100-year history, and a once-in-a-generation boost to the British defence industry.
The announcement also supports Britain's NATO commitments. The UK plans to raise defense spending to 3.5% of GDP by 2035. NATO has urged member states to increase military spending as security challenges continue to grow across Europe. This comes as the war in Ukraine continues to reshape military thinking across Europe. The conflict has highlighted the growing role of drones, artificial intelligence, and modern defense technology. With this new strategy, Britain is signaling a shift towards a more technology-driven military design for future conflicts. Tech giant Microsoft is preparing for another round of job cuts. That's according to reports emerging from within the industry. The development suggests that the company is reviewing its global workforce once again, with potential impacts spread across several key business units. Microsoft plans to cut around 2.5% of its global workforce. With around 220,000 employees worldwide, that could mean thousands of job losses. Reports say the layoffs are likely to affect sales, consulting, and the gaming division, including Xbox. In fact, reports began surfacing after Asha Sharma, who is the new CEO of the Xbox gaming division, sent a memo to employees signaling a reset for the business.
Excluding Activision Blizzard King, over the past 5 years, we have spent over $20 billion on ongoing investments in our content, platform, and hardware subsidy, but our annual revenue has declined nearly $500 million during that time. Going forward, this cannot continue.
Now, while the company is yet to make an official announcement, this would mark Microsoft's third major round of job cuts in just over a year. In 2025, the tech giant eliminated 6,000 roles in May. That's followed by another layoff round in July that impacted 9,000 employees. So now, for the remaining staffers, the uncertainty is growing, especially in teams that have already been flagged in earlier restructuring rounds. And this isn't Microsoft's first step to reduce its workforce. Earlier this year, the company announced a voluntary retirement program. The offer is available to U.S. employees at the senior director level, but only if their age and years of service add up to 70 or more. Around 7% of Microsoft's U.S. workforce qualifies for the program. The latest reported cuts also come as Microsoft continues to pour billions into AI infrastructure and data centers, aiming to strengthen its position in the fast-expanding AI race. In December last year, Microsoft announced a $17.5 billion investment in India through 2029, building on an earlier $3 billion commitment made in January that year. Like many major players in the global tech industry, Microsoft has been walking a tightrope between heavy investments in new technologies and ongoing efforts to reduce costs across other parts of its business. More than 100,000 employees are estimated to have lost their jobs across major tech companies globally, with firms such as Oracle, Intel, Cisco, PayPal, and Cloudflare among those carrying out significant workforce reductions. And so for many in big tech, this has become a familiar pattern. Heavy bets on AI, followed by hard decisions on jobs. And if these reports hold true, Microsoft's latest layoffs could be another sign of how rapidly the tech industry is changing. Kashmir, a destination known for its cool weather, snow-capped mountains, and pleasant summers, is now battling an unusual heat wave. The valley is experiencing some of its highest temperatures in more than 2 decades, leaving residents, farmers, students, and tourists struggling to cope. The scorching heat has also forced authorities to take a major decision. All government and recognized private schools across the Kashmir Valley will remain closed for a 2-week summer vacation from July 6th to July 19th.
The well-being and safety of our students remain our highest priority. I wish all our students, teachers, and school staff a safe, healthy, and refreshing break. I also urge everyone to stay hydrated, take necessary precautions during the heat, and utilize this time for rest, reading, and meaningful family engagement. Wishing you all a happy and safe summer vacation.
The decision comes as temperatures have remained far above normal for several days. According to the India Meteorological Department, the Kupwara region recorded a maximum temperature of 35.4 degrees Celsius, while Srinagar reached 35.2 degrees Celsius. This has made June 2026 one of the hottest Junes that Kashmir Valley has experienced in more than 20 years. For a region that is usually seen as a summer escape from the heat of the plains, these temperatures are highly unusual. The heat wave has been made worse by a prolonged dry spell. The valley has received very little rainfall in recent weeks, and that is now creating new challenges. Streams and water bodies have started recording lower water levels. The heat wave is not the only challenge facing Kashmir. The valley's famous lakes, including the iconic Dal Lake, are also under growing pressure. Known for its picturesque shikaras and floating markets, Dal Lake is now grappling with warming climate, pollution, falling water levels, and invasive weeds. Experts say a combination of climate change, rising temperatures, pollution, and unplanned development is speeding up the decline of Kashmir's lakes. The impact is already visible. The biggest concern, however, is for agriculture. Paddy fields, apple orchards, and vegetable crops depend on timely rainfall during this time of the year. Without enough rain, farmers fear their crops could suffer, leading to lower agricultural output. The Meteorological Center in Jammu and Kashmir says the heat was expected. The impact of the heat wave is already visible across the valley. Many residents are staying indoors during the hottest hours of the day. Outdoor activities have reduced and people are avoiding long exposure to direct sunlight. However, the Meteorological Department says relief from the heat may be on the way.
कमिंग डेज में खासकर आज लेट नाइट और कल मॉर्निंग के आसपास एक स्पेल बारिशों का खासकर जम्मू डिवीजन के अंदर और यहाँ वैली के अंदर भी कुछ एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स के अंदर जो है हल्की बारिशों की पॉसिबिलिटी है.
Meanwhile, the department has also warned that some of these showers could be short but very intense. Such heavy downpours could trigger flash floods, mudslides, landslides, and waterlogging in low-lying areas.
तेज बारिशों के कारण फ्लैश फ्लड्स के काफ़ी ज़्यादा पॉसिबिलिटी बनती है. साथ साथ में मड स्लाइड लैंडस्लाइड्स के भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा चांसेस हैं और उसके साथ साथ कुछ एक लो लाइंग एरियाज़ के अंदर थोड़ा वाटर लॉगिंग कंडीशंस बन सकते हैं. साथ साथ में थोड़ा नदी नालों के अंदर जो लोकल स्ट्रीम्स हैं नालास हैं स्पेशली जम्मू रीजन के अंदर चिनाब वैली पीर पंचाल रेंज और यहाँ साउथ कश्मीर के कुछ एक जो नदी नाले हैं या लोकल स्ट्रीम्स हैं इनमें भी जो है पानी का जो लेवल है वो बढ़ सकता है. तो ऐसे में कोई अनटुवर्ड इंसिडेंट ना हो तो बिल्कुल एहतियात करने की ज़रूरत है. और जो ट्रैवलर्स हैं अभी ट्रैकर्स हैं या जो लोग माल मवेशी लेके पहाड़ों में अभी रहते हैं ग्रेजिंग के सिलसिले से तो वो भी जो है थोड़ा सा एहतियात करें. और थंडरस्टॉर्म लाइटनिंग के काफ़ी ज़्यादा चांस हैं. सीवियर थंडरस्टॉर्म लाइटनिंग की भी पॉसिबिलिटी है ड्यूरिंग फर्स्ट 3 days of July.
For now, the valley remains caught between record-breaking heat, a prolonged dry spell, and the hope that the arrival of rain will bring relief without causing further damage. And that's all we have on the show today. I'm Daniela Laurel. See you again tomorrow with more updates. Thanks for watching.
Big shifts don't announce themselves. They arrive as updates, version numbers, a quietly changed headline. But zoom out and you'll see it. The way we work is being rewritten. Cars are turning into software. Your phone already knows what you'll ask before you do. These aren't trends or hype. They're ripples. Small, quiet moments that spread until the whole surface has changed. This is Ripple, an explainer series around tech, auto and AI with me, Konak Tyagi, where we explain the future using the past and the present before it feels like one.